Welcome to my channel. This is Rocan Motor Company. My name is David Sherry. I'm a mechanical engineer. I've been an automotive enthusiast since before I knew how to walk. And I want to build a business. I want to build Rocan Motor Company, and I want to provide the world with NLA parts for classic vehicles, as well as anything else that my customers can dream up. RoMoCo is Rocan Motor Company, spelled R-O-C-A-N. And quite simply put, it's an alias. I first had that alias on the 2002 FAQ, which some of you might be familiar with. And the name kind of just stuck. Around the age of 18, I started making throttle pedal kits for classic BMWs and took off. I decided to form the company, which I did, and after about a year had to dissolve it, but it was the start of what we have here today. It was the start of a lifelong dream and obsession and a goal that I knew would be very hard to achieve, but something that I would die trying to do. I did for a while consider renting a commercial space. As much as I would like to just take a giant leap of faith and rent a big commercial space and get a couple CNCs in there, it's just something that wasn't really financially feasible and was just a bit too much risk for me. So the pole barn made sense. There's definitely a lot of downsides, but the structure is secure, it's dry, and it's the largest space I could get for a given price without taking too much risk. Considering that the entire pole barn was built in under a day, it's a very good question. Why is the pole barn not complete? The short answer is that although I did have the building constructed and they did put up a vapor barrier, other than that, no finishing was complete. The walls weren't framed 16 inches on center, which is something I wanted to ease the electrical installation, as well as made it just a little bit easier to get a good dense layer of insulation in the building. It does get pretty cold here in the winter. So that's part of the reason. There's no electricity. It's a very expensive endeavor to get the power that I require for the shop. For those of you wondering, I can get three-phase power in here, but it requires installing a new pole and a new transformer, and turns out it's probably about half the construction cost just to get power ran in here. So it's slow going, and I want it to be ready to turn on the lights and turn on the machinery the moment that I'm done with the power, so that the investment feels a little more worthwhile and I can start seeing a return on that investment sooner than later. It's a 1974 model 2002. It's not an American export model, but it's actually a German model that made its way into the United States in the 80s. And actually a very interesting car under the cover. I had found it in Brooklyn 8 or more years ago. I forget when at this point. But it was stuck in the back of a mechanic's yard, and I really didn't think much of it at first. But I noticed that it has European bumpers and European turn signals, and as I walked up to the car, I noticed it had a European dash and a Petri steering wheel, and as you can see, quad headlights, which are fairly rare. So I thought, hey, you know what? At the very least, there's some good parts in this car, and I might be able to make $1 off of it. So I found the mechanic who owned it, and we started talking. Turns out that he was the second or third owner. He had purchased the car in the early 80s in Munich, and drove it around Germany for a while, brought it home with him to Italy, and attempted to sell the car there before he immigrated to the United States, but was unable to do so. So he brought the car with him. Unfortunate part is that since it sat for over 20 years, it was very rusty. All of the common spots for an old O2, the rear shock towers, the subframe on the passenger side, and the floor pans, all of that needs to be replaced. But it's nothing that I'm not familiar with, and I really want it to run and be something special. We have a lot planned for it. maybe a dry sump system, turbocharger. Not really sure yet, but we'll see in good time. Goals for this year are really just to get everything stable, get machinery in, get power wired up, just really getting the business up and running. There's still a lot of work ahead of us, but by the end of the year, I hope to have all of my machinery up and running. I hope to have possibly a 4-axis CNC mill in here by then, but only time can tell. Quite a lot. Obviously, early on, it's going to be content that's directly related to getting the machine shop up and running, getting the building constructed and finished off, but that's not all that we have planned. I would very much love to get back into this 2002. There's a lot that we could film and talk about there. I've got a 2001 Tacoma that we'd love to take off-roading that needs some work, and really just everything related to building out this business is going to be filmed, recorded, and talked about. And I hope that my viewers will tune in, tell me what they want to see, and I'm always happy to expand on whatever subject you take interest in.